Alright, so the first thing that you want to do is assess the place where you want to move the tank. This is the actual designated place. Make sure that the floor is level, there's no obstructions, and of course that you have an area where you can plug in your tank. This floor is a little unlevel, but once we bring in the tank, we're going to be able to measure and see where we have to correct. So at least know what deficiencies or what problems you have before you even start. Another thing to have, not that you might need it, but it is really useful most of the times to have a small ladder if you can. Pair of pliers might be come in handy. Different type of pliers, pair of scissors, and now is a good time for you to consider doing a big water change in your tank. So before you do the move, make sure that you have, at least 30, anywhere from 40, 50, 60% of the water volume of your tank already mixed and ready to go. Try to match the temperature, the pH, and so things, and have it at the place where you're going to put the tank. In this case, we're moving a 75-gallon tank, so we're using roughly about 40-45 gallons or so of freshly mixed salt water. These are 6-gallon containers that work pretty good. I got 2 more in the car, and they have bought already 10 gallons of their own. Another thing that you want to do is clear a path of whatever you're going in. You don't want to be coming in with the stand and or the tank itself or all the water equipment, whatever, and have to be messing with moving stuff out of the way. In this case, you see, we clear a path. It doesn't matter whether you think that you might need it or not. Just open a space, around the area or the doorway where you're gonna put the tank. Sometimes you can't angle it in a certain way, and whenever you're moving, like something that is like 200, 300 pounds, you don't want to be moving or putting it back on the floor. You want to just do it on one straight shot. So clear all the way to where the tank is. Try to put, if you can, on wood laminates, and such. She actually had this nice rubberized padding. This actually works pretty good because the padding itself is, again, rubberized, and so if there was some moisture to be falling off the tank, into the bottom or whatever, it's gonna fall on the padding, which is easily cleanable instead of the wood. So consider putting something like that, maybe some thick rubber lining or something, so that you can cover it. Alright, this is the tank. It's already with the hood open. I started scraping the back. They had a lot of build-up on it, of nutrients on the back. So I'm doing this right now while the water is in there, so that whenever we take some of the water off, it's almost like doing a cleanup and a water change at the same time. So trying to scrape it as much as you can, move the rocks out of the way if you have to. Either way, you're gonna have to take the rocks out. Alright, so at this point we had taken some of the rock out of the tank. We put it into this container. It's like a 55-gallon drum, actually a little less than that. We're gonna start some siphon with some of the rocks in there. Try to get the rocks that have the least amount of stuff alive on it into the initial bucket. You want to have the rocks that have organisms attached to it, living there in the water to the last moment, so that you don't stress them as much. Alright, try that. Right now I have all the tanks off. The light's still on. We need the lights on. The fishes are still there. We're just gonna drain some of the water to put with these rocks. Alright, so we continue empty water into buckets, and then in some of the buckets we put some of the live rock. Trying to keep it submerged as much as possible. There we go. I'm showing some of the buckets. I use the hose to try to create some siphon to do that. Alright, and then in here we have a little more water, and then some of the water with the rocks. And next is going to be putting the fish on a bucket. See the fish, they're still all in there, and the water is almost all the way gone. And now we're going to get that done. Alright, so now we've turned the main pump back on, and then what we're doing is draining as much water from the sump back into the main tank. The reason for this is so that we can siphon that water. We don't need that water. We still probably can get some more of that water out. The lights are off right now, but I meant to have them on. So anyway, you see it's trying to drain as much as we can from there. Alright, so now after you dump all the water that you came out of the sump back into the main tank, so then you get that water out of there into outside. So that's where we are right now. Now we got all the sand. We have to muzzle the sand into buckets. And I got a couple buckets in there to try to put as much sand as possible. Okay.
Look at me, I'm happy.
Alright guys, so
what are you gonna do?
what we did now, I'm sorry. What we did now is we finished taking the sand out and put it in the buckets. Don't be so concerned about, you know, the looks of the tank right now. A lot of people freak out whenever they see the tank all dismantled and such. Unfortunately on this tank they actually glued the bulkheads in place, so which is going to make it a little harder to move because we're going to have to move the whole tank attached onto the stand. It's not a biggie, you know, trying to get as much as you can out. The actual sump area in here we can take out, you know, and unplug the hoses in there. All the lights are off, of course, and all the equipment is off. The skimmer, take it out. It's a good time to clean on the sump also. So before you even move it, do all the cleaning that you can, so that when you get to the place, all you have to worry about is pretty much putting stuff back in and filling it up, okay? The main thing that you want to do in here also... Thank you. Alright, I wish I can tell you anything else, guys, except that the rest of it, they're trying to put it on a truck or whatever you might want to put it in. It's just muscles. There's nothing to it, but they're trying to muscle it out.
That's why she better have somebody there, otherwise I don't know what the hell we're going to do.
This is all the buckets in there. Don't be so concerned about you know, how they look right now. They're okay. There's a low temperature. I'm making a video, I'm sorry. And that's all. Alright, so we're back at the house at the other place. You guys have seen the inside of it. Do get enough help, you know, I can't stress that enough. I got a bum finger, you see that, and so does he. And the problem is that you use a lot of the fingers. So anyway,
weighs 2,000 pounds.
What we're gonna do now is reverse the process. So whenever we are there, we're gonna just bring it back down to here and then rest, and then little by little walk your way into your place. Okay, after a little finesse and a little elbow grease, here we are. So we managed to squeeze it little by little all the way into the place where it's finally going to be, and that's the place right there. Oh, it looks nasty right now, but you will wish that you have it in a second. Now we're going to reverse the process, starting with putting the sand back in.